Hey everybody, this is Brent, Central Arkansas. Today is Thursday, December the 10th, 2015, and I got some things going on in here I want to talk to you about. One of the things that has changed since the last video is what I'm sitting on right now is another platform. And last year I grew through the winter, even unheated, but of course that was brassicas and other cull crops like turnips and some lettuces and things like that, and I'm going to do that again this year. And I built this platform since last video, and I'm probably going to build another one or two and eventually have the whole greenhouse full with this type of platform. This little deal here is really good and an integral part of most of the things that I do, this little 3-inch net cup. This is a little cabbage, and you can see, hopefully here, let me go around. Yeah, there you go. You can see the little cabbage is forming, but there's no rice hulls here, right? Well, it's sitting on top of the foam cutout I had, and it's being wicked up from the nutrient here up through the little foam thing and providing just a surface amount of rice hulls, enough to germinate. Now what that little thing will do is it'll shoot a little root. I don't see where one has come through yet, but it'll shoot and it'll follow the water down into the nutrient, and once that happens, this little part here won't be needed anymore. Now the reason why I did this with cabbage, lettuce, and other things, particularly lettuce, I'm also trialing some cabbage, but the reason why I did that is because lettuce does not like how wet. If I filled this completely full of rice hulls, it's very, very wet, and lettuce doesn't like it. Now cabbage, Chinese cabbage, they all are okay with it. And I got some stuff growing on in here, and I will take you on a little tour and show you how successful things are going so far. I'm really happy about it. This is the new platform right here. Those both came out of one pot, and I plucked them out individually and stuck them in those little container, or the little net cups there. So I'm over here at my wheelbarrow, and it has some rice hulls in it, and I've got one of the pots, and I'm going to take and tease these out of this pot just to share. Okay, the tools I'm using for this particular transplant operation are the cutouts from the foam board that is a big integral part of everything that I do here. I've got a little paintbrush that I use for pollinating to net cup here, and this also has a net cup here, and you can see that I've got some nutrient here, and that nutrient is has two purposes. One is to keep the roots nice and moist until I get to the part of transplanting. Plus it'll serve as a wash, to wash these rice hulls out. I want to grow these directly in the net cups, in the nutrient, and so instead of cutting this down to one, long story short, I'm going to take and transplant these in the net cups. So the first thing we do is we just simply push out the soil. Grab it here. Now what I've got here is what I am going to now term a propagation pot. So next thing is to gently remove, you can see here, the roots. Now I lost some of the roots, as you can see here, but cabbage is, and most brassicas are really hardy, along with a lot of vegetables that you transplant, but they're really hardy. So let's just discard those and let's get to breaking these up. Now I've got two net pots, as you can see here. I'm going to reuse one of them, and I'm just going to let these tangle. Now if you've seen my mass planting video that I did a year or two ago, I did this with smaller transplants, but it's basically the same thing. So we've got the root system We got 2 plants here. I'm going to dip them in this nutrient to remove the aged rice hulls, and then I'm going to tease these apart. Hope you can see that. Yeah, piece of cake, right? Now we got a little one here. You know, I see these and I think, man, I don't want to throw that sucker away. But I'm going to. In this particular case, I could probably get it to fit in a net cup. And, well, I'm just going to leave it. Maybe I'll change my mind. I was going to throw it away right in front of you, but like I said, it's hard for me to just get rid of plants, you know. So let me tease the soil further off of one of these. And I'm going to put this one in the nutrient while I'm waiting. Let's set this here. Let me get it off my hands. Nice dirty hands. Get your hands in the dirt. Get busy with some gardening. All right. So here is where the paintbrush comes into play. And all I do with this, as you can see, you got a nice little, mostly removed rice hulls. And I just kind of take it and loop it around the little hole there. I just use the bottom of the paintbrush to push it into the hole. Like so. Anybody is beginning, you know, you get into vegetables and doing different things like this, you kind of get to where you learn how hardy these things are. So you're not so afraid of them anymore. So I've got the roots coming through the bottom here, all the way up to connecting here. And you can see I can support the whole plant just like that. But I'm not going to treat it so badly. At the same time that I'm pulling on the roots, I'm also going to push down here. The hole is big enough where it's not such a big deal. So that's it. It's kind of sitting in there pretty like that with long dangly roots. All I do from this point is just make sure the bottom of the roots are in the bottom of the net cup. And I simply push them in place just like that. So now this one is ready to go into the system, and I'm going to take it over there. You won't be able to see it, but it's right here real close. And I'm going to put it over in the FAWN platform. And zoom, I'm right back. We're going to do it one more time for you. And if you want, these catadion leaves, it's not a true leaf here. I don't even know if I pronounced that correctly, but these catadion leaves, there, you can pull those off if you want. And sometimes it helps with allowing this hole to ride up a little higher and center the plant. So let's take this, once again, let's put it on and near the hole here, grabbing the plant easily here, delicately, but not so delicately that you have to be so concerned that you're going to hurt it. Pull it through. At the same time, you push on the stalk. Now, I have not ruined one of these yet. So, could I pull the roots completely off of here and totally ruin this transplant completely? Yeah, I could. But I haven't done it yet. So this is just a little confidence builder for you to show you that you don't have to be afraid of them. Now that's 2 done. I'll put them in the system, and then I'll take you real quick to show you what that is. That is how I'm going to try to use these propagation pots, which I have 3 of them going right now, because I consecutive plant. Once these get, you know, well, at this size, I've started starts of others, and as I attempt to harvest these, I'll have some right behind it, and that's what consecutive planting is supposed to be. And that's my attempt anyway. I'll bring you along and show you how things go. So let me put this in here, and then I'll take you on a further tour of the garden. Those are the 2 I just did for you in the camera. And those are 2 that I did yesterday. And you'll notice that I have little painter's tape marked with a Sharpie, BROCC for broccoli. So let's do that. One thing I've learned about labeling is that You need to do it as you go along, or you'll get caught with your pants down. You'll forget, and you'll be like, oh, what is that? When things are similar, like brassicas, cauliflower, even kale in the beginning, and broccoli and cabbages, you don't know what they are in the beginning. So, not that it matters, I guess, in the very end, you'll know what it is. But with tomatoes and things like that, it becomes really helpful to do that. Okay, so that's it for marking that. So to get access to the heated portion, as you can see over here, we'll need to raise this wall, if you will, wall plastic. And they're secured with tomato twine and a little piece of PVC, 3/4 inch, with a PVC cutout cover anchored to the plastic. And I'm going to lift it both sides at the same time using that there. And let me show you that. That's where I pulled that pot from and just did that demo for you. But the next 3 pots are spinach, two different types of spinach. I've got Thai and Bloomsdale longstanding in there. Those are going to be propagations. And I've got an Adriana lettuce, which is a butterhead lettuce that I got from Johnny's Seeds. One of the things I'm going to attempt in this here version, now you saw me do the cabbages here, and I did the same thing with these tomatoes. These are Campari F3, and all that is I bought Campari tomatoes from the store. I ate them and I saved the seeds from a couple of them. And this is my 3rd generation of growing those. And I selected, they were pretty uniform, but I selected the little bit bigger one, the plant that grew a little bit bigger tomatoes, and I saved seed from that for a couple years now, or for a couple growings, a couple iterations. And so I'm growing those directly in the FAWN garden, and I'm thinking I'm going to grow them just until they get a certain height, probably 6-8 foot, and then top them off. Beans are still in the same place. I want to show you those real quick. And you can see that they appear to be growing great. I don't know if they would grow faster if it was hotter, probably. But they look like they're growing great. Perfect leaves, no damage. All the way down. I think I've got 5 little pots in there. And in between, I've got a cauliflower, like I showed you. I planted that one there. I've got one that I'm going to grow in a pot as a comparison. And I think I got a couple peppers down there that may not germinate. We will see. Now these are candy onions. Just like I'm doing with the Campari, I'm going to try to grow these out, make them flower, which onions do. They will, once they go through a period of vernalization, that means they go through a cold snap, they will produce a flower stalk in the 2nd year. So these are the original ones that I grew last summer, and right now I put them back in a pot to grow, and they're growing great. So now I need to remove this pot and put it over there in the one that's exposed to the cold. And what that'll do is, as it gets really cold, late December, January, and February, that'll force these into the vernalization. And then as soon as it gets warm enough, these suckers will pop up a flower stalk, and I will hand pollinate these bad boys. And we're going to attempt to save some seeds from these candy onions. Right next to it, growing very, very well, and they do very well. I had a crop focus on this one, or a variety focus. These are Alamo turnip greens. I love these things, and they're doing wonderfully well. I should have already planted another pot, but right now we're just sticking with the one. And it won't be too much longer, I'll harvest that. Let's take you on a tomato tour now. Take a look at this. Can you see that little bad boy right there? That's a little tomato. There's one on the other side right here. You see that one there too? There's 2. That is the amount of flowers on there. You can see there's 3 that are actually open right now. The amount of flowers on there tell me that this is probably a cherry tomato, probably a black cherry. Now I don't know what these tomatoes are, like I said in the previous video, because after I killed these off for my RV tour, I came back and they were growing in the landscape fabric, the greenhouse fabric, through it. So they sprouted from tomatoes that fell off, and then I cut them all off, mangled them together, and I don't know which ones are which. So continuing on, we've got, it looks like a cherry that's becoming successful. We've got some others over here, nice and healthy looking. I've strung these on this middle row. In the last episode you saw where I strung these. While I'm shooting the video, I'll show you just one of the things I do when I'm out and about. I've got some flowers, if you notice in there. I've got a little old Sonicare toothbrush that I used to have, used to use in the house, and we got the newer version of this. So I'm going to take this and pollinate these little flowers. And all you got to do is touch the little backs of them like that with the brush. Any electric toothbrush will work, and it simulates a bee. So that's all you got to do. Just run around and touch those like that. Now in the greenhouse environment, especially when it's closed up like this, there's more humidity. So it is better actually if I did it a little later this afternoon, and which I will, because the humidities won't be in here as much. Got another one over here. And obviously the conditions are right enough to flower. That's pretty awesome in my book. Now I've got squash here growing, and one of the things that's one of the issues that can happen in a high humid greenhouse is that right there. You see those little white spots there? That is powdery mildew, my guess. And I've sprayed these and I've been able to keep on top of that. And this thing is growing wonderfully well. It's even starting to bend down. I'm going to take you underneath the platform here to show you the roots if I can. I hope you can see that. I can't see the camera to see if you can see that, but they are growing very well. And that is squash is a heavy feeder, and they shoot out a lot of roots even in a hydroponic system. And one final look at the remaining crops that are in here. I've got some spinach there, and spinach was a little hard. I sowed it directly in here, and spinach, like most of the time you grow it anywhere, it doesn't germinate very well, and the seed is a couple years old. So these two came up, and then I propagated them directly inside in a paper towel and a little container, a Tupperware container, on a heat mat. And that's what these are coming up now, because I need to fill this. I got a second stand over here, and you can see they're growing very nicely, and I can't wait for those to fill in. I've got some squash back here that are growing. I think I've got 2 in here, and I need to either pull these Kettledon leaves off or spray them. You can see I'm just wiping it off now, but the powdery mildew is in there. And the way I grow squash is, as it grows taller, I will string it up like I do tomatoes, and I will cut off the leaves below the fruiting area. And I grew a zucchini, Concerta Romanesco or something like that, last year, that grew 16 feet long, and that's because of the same that technique. I grew also another yellow squash, and it grew almost as well. So that method is what I'm going to attempt to do in here. So it's a space saving way to grow, and it also reduces disease, old leaves, and even the powdery mildew, which tends to get on the lower plants. Over here I've got some celery. I'm not sure if I'm going to prick that out and attempt to plant another one. Probably will. But anyway, they haven't been thinned yet. Celery is notoriously hard to grow for me, especially in the garden, but I have had some success in the greenhouse. Got carrots that are coming on nicely, probably need to do up another pot. I've even got corn here. Don't know if it's going to grow, but we're going to give it a shot. It is definitely getting bigger. See, over here I've got some baby bok choy. I've got some cucumber. I've got some baby pak choy. And these are more of a squash that I'm developing. And they are starting to come on. I noticed, yeah, one's breaking through here. And I think one over there too, yeah. So they're going to come on, hopefully. And in this area, on this last FAWN platform that it's in the heated area, I have got these pots that I moved over here. And in this place were these. And this is a cabbage and a Chinese cabbage, and that's a dense planting experiment I'm doing. They're coming along nicely, especially the Chinese cabbage, and I'll probably leave 5 in each one of those. And I'm going to show you what I'm going to attempt to do with those. Well guys, that pretty much ends the update for the 10th of December and everything I'm doing in here. I'm very happy with it, and I hope you guys stay tuned. So until next time, take care of yourselves.